We're doing it.
You're live.
Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to Variant Roles and our stream tonight that we've entitled A Home for Maryland. We are actually going to be playing a game that I wrote, and that the wonderful Jesse Jahus the Moose illustrated. The title of the game is Home, and it focuses on building spaces with the people you care about, safe spaces. It focuses on intimacy and memory and emotion. And tonight we will be raising money for the Alzheimer's Association through Tiltify. This is in honor of my grandmother, Marilyn, who just recently passed away. So that's who the game is named after tonight. I'm already getting a little emotional, y'all. This is gonna be fun. Just as a warning, we will be dealing with death as a sort of theme or subject that is brought up in the game, though the game itself is not mature in any way. We are gonna have open check-ins here at the table. Check in with yourself, take care of yourself as you're watching. It's probably gonna be some emotions brought up tonight. I'm gonna turn it over now and let my players introduce themselves. And we'll start with our awesome illustrator, Jesse.
Sorry, I was fixing a thing. Hang on. Awesome illustrator and tech person. Hi, I'm Jessie. You can find me at Jahus the Moose on all social media sites where I post my art sometimes, like this game.
Awesome. Did you go around to Val?
Hi everybody, I'm Val. I'm the Nerdy Niffler on Twitter and this, and one day I will learn how to do intros properly.
Hi, I'm Emma. You can find me at MK Hansen over on the Twitter sphere. I use she, her pronouns, and I think that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And I'm Anders. You can find me at Anders_D_K on the internets. I use he, him pronouns. And like I said, I wrote this game, so be kind. The game itself, Home, is available for download on my itch. It's a pay what you want price, so it is available for free. And I would ask that this evening in particular, if you do choose to go and download the game for yourself, that you make a donation to the Alzheimer's Association rather than paying for the game. We have some loose incentives for donations. I don't know if they're listed anywhere, but I'll just keep shouting them out as reminders. If you donate $3 this evening, you can add an element to a scene. That can be a emotion, it could be a color, it could be a smell, anything from, sad to yellow to warm, just something that'll help us be inspired and sort of give flavor to the scene that we're currently doing. If you donate $10 this evening, you can actually add a detail. In the game Home, it's very, very simple. We start in one room of a house, and we start with our bedrooms, and then we move slowly room by room through the house. And as we do that, we sort of build the house together, and then we focus on details. And details are things that kind of prompt scenes. So we have a beautiful play map that Jesse made that we'll travel through. We probably won't get all the way to the end tonight, and that's okay. It's a non-linear game, but should be a good emotional time. And I'm not going to stall anymore because I'm realizing that that's what I'm doing because I'm nervous. So we'll kind of jump right into it. I don't know if there's someone else who could maybe help track donations because I don't know how that works, and how we get notified if they come in.
We got $100 donation.
What?
Yeah, you reached your goal.
You reached your goal.
I'm not gonna cry.
It's okay if you do.
If that person who is amazing and wonderful wants to add anything to the game, please say so. Thank you. Okay. Oh boy, I was not prepared for that. Right out the gate. I guess now our goal is 200. Why not? Let's go for it. Home. Begin in a bedroom. In every home, a personal, private retreat is important. Describe yours. Let everyone create their own space, share them with each other. So, at the beginning of the game, we will share the name of our character, share the pronouns that they use, and then we will each describe what our personal bedroom looks like. Bedrooms are often a way to kind of understand a little bit about who a person is. They give you a very sort of good glimpse into them. I am obviously willing to go first, if that would be preferred. If people would prefer that, I can do that.
Whatever you want to do.
I will do that.
Go for it.
We'll just start it that way. My name is Jim. I use he, him pronouns. And my bedroom has a old wooden roll top desk that's probably from a long time ago, a bed that can also become a couch, which has a sort of dark green comforter thrown over it, as well as a blanket clearly made by hand. There's a variety of different colors woven into it. On the walls are some family pictures, as well as a poster for a golf course, of all things. And the floor is covered in papers and books, and it seems like the mess of the desk has moved onto the floor into possibly organized piles. And that is my space.
I can go next. I can follow Jim with James. I'm using she, her pronouns for James. Her bedroom is a really pale yellow. There's an old, battered, faded floral armchair in the corner with a reading lamp and a small bookshelf that has a couple plants on top. She has a dresser that is neat, but also cluttered. Everything has its space, and there's a lot of things on the dresser, but they're put away. And above that dresser is a large oval mirror where you can see her bed. It's got pale blue. I have pale blue comforter with small white flowers and white pillowcases. There's only 2 pillows on this bed, very neatly made. Underneath the bed is clothes galore that I've hurriedly shoved under or just kicked under as I'm getting ready. On the floor is a round faded carpet, somewhat matching the floral of the armchair, but not quite. And it's got 2 windows and bright, breezy curtains that you can see kind of gently fluttering with the breeze.
All right, I will go next. Tonight I will be playing Jessie, who uses she, her pronouns. And her bedroom she has a wooden bed frame that is kind of creaky and old, and it looks like it was handmade. And she has a quilt atop her bed that also is clearly handmade. In her room, she has different paintings hanging in there that she has actually painted herself. There are different watercolor paintings that are of landscapes. There's one of some sheep out by a barn. There's another of some mountains and with snow that's melting. And in the corner of the room, she has her easel that's set up, and you can see it's kind of messy near there, but at the same time, it looks like she has her own organized kind of chaos. She also has a dresser that is tall, and it's kind of worn down. It looks like she's been using it for a really long time, and it probably could be replaced, but she's not ready to do that yet. And it's very tidy, and on top of it there is this lace sort of it's not quite like a tablecloth, but it's a small lace sort of covering that's on top, and you see that she's got her jewelry box there, and it's open, and it's kind of overflowing just a little bit, and she has various medications that are on top of the dresser, and various things that she needs that are all kind of like stacked and just slightly askew. And she has a braided rug that sits on the floor and a rocking chair that looks out the windows, and the windows have lace curtains as well. And she tries to keep the windows open as often as she can.
I managed to remute myself, so we're doing great. I'm playing Theo, who uses she, her pronouns, and Theo's room it's in the attic, and it is covered in plants, and it looks like the inside of a greenhouse, because she has filled this space with just plant life on the walls. There is a hammock that's tied between 2 beams, and like on it is a hand-knitted quilt of like all these different rainbow garish, they don't match colors. There's a window at the end of the room, and it's like stained glass again with color, and when it starts to rain, it just reflects onto this space on these old oak floorboards, and the reflection is just very calming. And there are different collages of photographs that are stuck on the wall. Some are of people she knows, some are just of places she's been, and some are just, they look like she's trying to do some art pieces with them and put them together in new, different ways. On this ceiling, she's painted it like the night sky, so that when she sits in the hammock, she can look up, and it's a special kind of paint, so it glows in the dark, so even though when the lights are out, there's always some light in the sky that she can always look at. So it means no matter where she is in her room, she's always under the stars.
I realized I was muted. I apologize. So now we look at the details. Every room on the playmap has details identified. When a detail speaks to you, focus on it. Share a memory of your character or describe a scene beginning and invite other players into it with you. You can create characters that don't exist already in our game, and you can voice them, or you can ask other players to voice them. You can focus on feelings and senses. There's no wrong way to approach any detail. As we make our way through the game, we're gonna give and take as much time as needed, and trust each other. There will be moments of silence where we think and we choose, and that's okay. And whether we finish or not, at the end we will share our feelings, which is what we would normally do in the living room at the end of the map. So, the bedroom. There are details listed on the play map, and if anyone has one of those prompts that sort of stands out to them for a scene or a memory, a narration, something they want to share, we'll begin. I will start us off with the dresser drawers. The prompt for the dresser drawers is the way you present yourself. Jim is a very tall man whose hair is thin and bald, even though he's young, and who often wears hats because his head is easily sunburnt. I think his wardrobe is made mainly plaids and greens and browns. Things he wears don't often go well together. There's often a clashing of patterns or colors or shapes. But everything is distinctly Jim in nature. It's all very recognizable as the type of clothing that he would wear. I'd like to start us with a scene. I'm sort of picturing Jim is preparing for a date, and he's sort of got 3 different green variations of plaid laid out on his bed, and is not sure what to wear, and has sort of been in the room for a while having this kind of anxiety over what green plaid he should put on. And I would invite, I'm gonna see if Theo wants to come be in this scene with me.
Yeah, it does. Damn you, mute button.
So I'm kind of going through the close, and I hold one up and put it up against myself and turn to you. This one, I think, maybe, I'm 60% sure this is the one I'm gonna go with. But also I might go with this one. I'll pull up the other one. Help.
Okay. Well, the first one is very cute in a sort of, this is autumn and I am the color of the leaves as I stomp my way through them with my big boots. The second one, though, is very cheerful, and I like it, and it makes your skin tone just pop. Okay.
Cheerful?
Cheerful.
I want him to think I'm a happy person. So cheerful it is. Happy is good. Right?
I feel like I should have a sign that has like a little tick on it, and a no, and a maybe, and just like an 80s pop song should play as we do this montage.
Okay, so I'll put on number 2 and I'll button it up and then kind of look at myself in like the small little on top of the dresser mirror that's like not a mirror at all, meant for looking at yourself. It's way too tiny, and just kind of like move around to try to see all of me in the small frame.
Is the frame attached to anything?
He's just sitting on the dresser.
Then I'm gonna come over and I'm gonna hold up the frame a little bit.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I think I'm good. I think we're good. Okay. And I will pat you on the shoulder and leave the room and make my way out to my date. And I think that is the end of this small scene.
I will do the picture in a frame. The prompt saying good night. What is that? What are the parameters?
It can be anything that inspires in you.
Okay, so the picture in this frame is of Theo, Jesse, Jim, and James, and it's right like the backlit of a bonfire, and they're holding like sparklers, and you can see like fireworks are kind of going off in the background. And in this kind of small scene, you notice that in Theo's room, she doesn't have pictures of family up, but she has pictures of Jesse, Theo, and James, and Jim. And so in this little scene, it's just a really quick one, and it's just of Theo kind of gathering her friends around, and she's got this big smile on her face, and she's holding this camera up and just beaming at the little family that she has right here. And that is right next to her hammock on a very thrown together, rickety looking bedside table.
Boy, howdy. Okay. I will go with a comfortable bed and a dream that I remember. So a dream that Jessie has is when she can't get to sleep and she's flopping around. She remembers back when she was younger, and her grandmother used to tell her a story before she went to bed about how when we fall asleep, our beds turn into rafts and they carry us down rivers that are made out of clouds. And the riverbanks are rich with all sorts of angelic and celestial beings and plants, and with the people that we love. And as Jessie is falling asleep, she thinks of that. So when she finally does fall asleep, she dreams of being on a raft floating down clouds, really soft clouds. And it's always just at sunset, and it's always warm. And along the riverbanks, she can see all of the people that she cares about waving to her. Some of them are fishing, some of them are dancing, some of them are having a meal by a fire. But everything is calm, and she is just floating down toward the sunset. And it smells like fresh lilies as she's floating down this river made out of clouds.
Okay, I'm going to choose a poster on the wall, something you love. And I'm going to make it a scene where I actually want to invite all of us, but I'll go to each of you. So in James's room, there is where her bookshelf is. There is also a collage of pictures, but you notice that these pictures are of hands. There's a picture of her parents' hands during their wedding. There's a picture of there's an old birthday card with someone holding a cupcake and a candle. And she goes to each of you. She's going to go to Theo, or she's going to go to Jim first. And I'm going to knock on the door. And I'm going to say, hey, can I ask you for something?
Yeah, of course. What's up?
I'm trying to finish up my hand collection, and that sounds a little weird, but could I take a picture of you doing something? And she holds up a Polaroid camera.
Sure. Is there something specific you want me to do?
I want you to do, what do you love doing?
And I will turn around and I'll go over to corner and pull out my sort of tackle box, and I'll open it up and get out some feathers and a hook. And would it be too small a detail to take a picture of my hands making one of these?
Absolutely not.
I will sit there at my desk and begin to sort of sew and make a fishing lure.
I'm gonna watch you, and for a while I don't do anything, but when you kind of get lost in it, I'm going to snap a picture. And the Polaroid ejects, and I shake it, and I say, thank you.
You're welcome.
You should check out the wall once I'm done. And I'm going to go to Theo. And Theo, is it okay if I do something? It's a little weird.
Yeah, come on in.
So, I'm making a hand collage, and I want to do something. I want to take a picture of you doing something you love.
Oh, okay. I could water my plants. I just got a new one. It's supposed to grow up the wall, so I'm making one of those things that you put on the outside of the houses so like ivy can grow up of it.
That'd be amazing.
And she kind of goes, when you came in, she was like on her knees, like putting in this new plant, and she's wearing these kind of rainbow, like fingerless gloves because she's always cold, and just starts getting to work on settling in the new plant.
And when her hands are deep in the dirt, As she pulls them out, you can see the dirt sticking to her hands, and you can see the plant that's in the center of those hands. James is going to take that picture. Hey, Jesse.
Hey, James.
Could I take a picture of you?
Yeah, right now?
I mean, it's not a picture of your face. I want to take a picture of you doing something that you love.
So she actually, in this moment, she's wearing like overalls that are covered in paint and like a raggedy like white t-shirt underneath them. And she says, "Yeah, I'm working on a new painting. Why don't you come in?" And she goes back over to her easel, and she has a pot of tea there, so she'll pour you a cup. And she's painting another watercolor. This time it is of a lamb that is lying down outside in like a bed of hay in front of this old barn, and there's like it looks like there has just been a thaw from winter, and she'll be painting.
And as she's painting, she'll be mixing the paints, putting paint on the paper. There'll be one moment where she is putting the paintbrush almost to rinse it off, and you can see the paintbrush, you can see your hands covered in paint, you can see the painting behind it. I'm going to take that picture. And I'm going to go back to my room, and on my wall I put all these Polaroids up amongst my collection of things that I love, and then I invite you all to see. But we don't need to act that out.
Just as a additional sort of point as we play through this, if someone chooses a detail and does a scene and you were also inspired by that detail, you can also choose to describe that or go in a different way with that detail. That's absolutely fine. It is fine to move from rooms to the next room without doing every detail. They don't all have to be done. Some may simply not inspire anyone. I am going to describe the detail of a soft friend, which is when you're lonely. I think late at night when the house, though it's probably never completely quiet, but when it grows quieter and Jim can't sleep, I think he will sort of get up and sort of open the door to the bedroom and look down the hallway and see if the light beneath anyone's door or the light from the attic entrance, if anyone else is awake. And when he sees that it seems like everyone else has already gone to sleep for the night, he'll go back into the room and reach under the bed and pull out two sort of plastic storage tubs and sort of open them up, and inside are perfect conditioned Beanie Babies. His grandmother used to collect them, and he has very distinct memories of getting one every Christmas, every birthday, every Easter. Sometimes they got them for the 4th of July. It was just whenever Grandma could find an excuse to give him a Beanie Baby, she would. And she would go and she would buy them in threes so that he could have one, his sister could have one, and she could have one. And so he kind of pulls out the box of Beanie Babies and kind of begins to look through and ultimately decides on a hummingbird with sort of a rainbow pattern to its wings, and goes and sets that on top of the desk, sort of facing the bed. and then looks through and finds a pink bear with a little bow and sets that on the desk near the bed. And then reaches in and pulls out a little white cat that is clearly his favorite because the actual beans inside of it are all lumpy, and one of the ears actually is bent wrong, and the tag is actually ripped off. And Grandma would probably not want to know how well he's been treating this one, but it's just well loved. And so he'll take that one and he'll get back in bed and have some friends with him as he goes to sleep. I think this might be a good moment to do a first check-in, see how everyone's doing. Good? We're all feeling okay? Good. Okay, we'll move forward. Does anyone have any more inspiration or feelings about the bedroom? Want to go back to any of those prompts? Or would we like to move deeper into the house?
Go to the house.
Go in? Okay.
Deeper.
All right. So next on our play map, we go to the kitchen. And as we move into a new room, we begin by discussing what this part of the house looks like. We all kind of together decide what sort of our kitchen would be. And then once we've sort of described and designed and sort of set the scene, we'll go into the details again. So, dream kitchens for your friend community home. What do we think it looks like?
Super open.
Yes.
Okay.
Big island. Big island. Big island.
How many chair is this, like the type of island that you like pull chairs up to and we can sit at?
Yeah, this is like the type of island, like fixer-upper, you know, like basically a table.
How many of us can sit at it?
Definitely all of us.
So at least 4.
I'm thinking it'd be 3 bar stools along one edge, 2 along like a shorter edge, like it's a rectangle. The sink is it's not in the center, it's a little off center, so that there's plenty of counter space while we're eating or just hanging out while people are getting dinner or food ready.
I think along one of the walls, when we bought the house, it came with a microwave already installed into the kitchen, but it's awkwardly just a little too tall. It's like, it should be like 6 inches lower to be really useful, but it's just a little too high. So there's this microwave, and then there's a little footstool that just sort of sits up against the wall near where the microwave is, because some of us can't reach.
Could the footstool be a milk crate?
Yes.
That's kept in one of the cupboards, and we picked it up because it was one of those things that says just take for free on the side of the road. And it was like, that'd be a good stool. And it has one of those things that like is a spice rack, and it's filled with spices, and even though we don't know what 9 out of 10 of them are, it is just still filled with tons of just all of these kinds of spices, some 2 of each, because we doubled up.
There's probably like 4 things of cinnamon, because we each
Don't
brought
talk about
cinnamon into the house.
That's right. That's right.
That's how it works when you move in together.
I think also on the same spice rack there, on the bottom of it, there are bundles of like dried herbs. There's like a rosemary bundle and a thyme bundle and a sage bundle hanging there. And the cabinets are glass and wood, so you can see inside all of them. And the mug, everything else kind of matches, but except for the mug cabinet, all of the mugs are, there's no rhyme and there's no reason to any of them. And in like the corner of the mug shelf, there are 4 of them, and each one of us has, like, that's where we put like the mug, you know, the mug that you always go to. That's the mug. The rest of them are there, but we've got our 4 in the corner that we keep right there.
I also want in our kitchen, because I want it to be open, but I want it to seem really cozy. I want, you know, that the like pots and pans hanger thing. Yes. I want that. That exists in our kitchen.
Perfect.
Purely because I want one in real life.
Can I have a clarifying question about it?
Yes.
Or I'm wondering, could it be made out of, can it be homemade and made out of like copper pipes that are like,
yes, we went to Lowe's and we built this ourselves.
Yes,
absolutely.
Exactly. Okay.
I was gonna say, can we have copper pans? So that's like so great.
We've got nice copper pans, but also in this cabinet, like next to the oven / stove, we've got like our old pots and pans that we kept with us from college because we don't know how to get rid of them / don't want to get rid of them. So they're there. They exist.
I'm being called out in real life.
It's happening right now.
I also think maybe some of the plant life from our more plant, green-thumbed housemates has kind of shifted into the kitchen, and there's a couple of those sort of like hangy vine plants sitting up on top of the cabinets at the very top that just sort of hang down in a few places. I bet there's lots of light in our kitchen. Big window.
We also have dish towels and oven mitts that are seasonal. We change them depending on the holiday.
Okay, we do.
We also have crazy, like, made-up holiday ones.
I don't know if you guys do this in America, but it's a thing we do in England, where in primary school, everyone draws, like, on this big kind of thing, a picture of themselves and then puts their name underneath, and then it gets made into a dishcloth, a tea towel for you to buy. So Theo has one of those from her childhood when she was in primary school, of just like all these little primary school kids, and then there's like a little Theo with this like crazy mop of curly hair.
Okay, so now we move into the kitchen details. Does anyone have any place they want to start?
I am going to choose herbs and spices, mixing together. I am going to, it's a memory that James has of sitting there trying to make chicken noodle soup. But she refuses. She lost her recipe. I lost my recipe. I'm not going to look. James is strictly no iPad, old tech phone. She's not going to look it up online. But I can remember what my grandmother's chicken noodle soup tasted like. And I know that there are carrots and there's celery and onions and shredded chicken. But it's James in front of this big pot and taking little dishes and taking a spice and sprinkling that spice in, or a mixture of the spice, and tasting it and putting it in and just trying to concoct this chicken noodle soup.
I'm going to do a pot on the stove, the best meal you've ever had. And Jim has some unique tendencies when it comes to things in the kitchen. I always put Chips Ahoy cookies in the fridge. They're never in the pantry. They're always in the fridge because they have to be cold. And there's always ice cream in the freezer. And if I'm eating ice cream or I bring ice cream to someone else, it's always in a coffee mug. Ice cream doesn't go in bowls, it goes in coffee mugs. And then there's a wooden woven basket that sits on the island that when you open up has 4 little pockets divided by this like plastic divider, and it's always full of those mixed matched Hershey's, the ones that come in the big bag. So the regular, the dark chocolate, the crackle, and the Mr. Goodbar, I think, is the one with the nuts. And those are always in there. And I never sort them. But if someone else comes and sorts them, that's fine, but I never sort them. I just dump them all in. And there's also, next to that, a little cookie jar that is shaped like a cactus. And when you open the top of it, inside, there's always taffy. Because the best meal Jim ever had was a trip he took with all of you, and we're in South Carolina, and we're at a sort of touristy area, a port, and there are every block taffy shops. You can see them in the windows of this sort of nautical architecture, these people pulling taffy and making taffy, and every shop is trying to get you to come in and try their flavors of taffy. And there's people out on the street sort of calling you, inviting you in, and the 4 of us kind of eventually get enticed by one particular taffy shop that stands out because it's colorful. Most of the things here on the pier are white and dark blue and sort of have that sort of naval nautical theme to them. But this one is pastel green, and the door is pink. And in the window, there's a little rainbow flag. And then there's a bunch of posters for local community events that are happening. And it's still a taffy shop, but it's not outwardly filling and fitting that sort of tradition of taffy. It just feels more inviting and more comforting. And so we go inside, and I think Jim would immediately want to try lemon and would love the lemon taffy and buy a whole bunch of it. And
can we choose? Can
yeah. What taffy would James get?
James would see some black raspberry taffy that she didn't think she would see outside of her hometown, and gets really excited to have some.
I feel like we do this every single game that we are in, Val. We're like, okay. Jesse is going to see just plain old vanilla taffy. And it's always common. She can always find it. And she will always buy it every single time. And that's it.
Theo is going to find a matcha green tea flavored taffy and be super excited because she loves green tea and is going to probably buy most of the sticks they have in that store of this flavor and then hoard them.
I think the four of us probably spend a lot of time in that little taffy shop before we leave with just bags of it. And we get back to where we're staying, we have to figure out how to stuff all of the taffy in our luggage. And there's no room for it, but we're bringing it all with us. It's not getting left behind. And then when we're back at home, it's funny, it's no one's job to refill the taffy bowl, but everyone just kind of takes it upon themselves to do it. So it's never empty.
I'll do a warm beverage. So Theo has a habit of making, every time everyone's up, Theo is an early riser. She likes to make everyone what they want to drink, their tea or their coffee. And she likes to, she puts it in a little travel mug because she doesn't know how long people are going to, if they want to lie in, and then it'll get cold. So she buys 3 distinct, different colored travel mugs to put everyone's beverages in the morning. And she does it every day, even on weekends. And it's because she doesn't know how to say the words, what it was like before you. She doesn't know how to say that she measures time in before this and after this. And before this was fine. Before this, it was fine, but there was like this lonely little part of her that never felt quite fit in anywhere or anything, no matter how hard she tried to shape herself or push herself into different positions. Nothing ever really fit. And so she just got so used to the feeling of being lonely that she didn't even realize she was lonely anymore. And she doesn't know how to say the words that she loves you. So she tries to tell you in little things, in like little ways of coffee and beverages and buying when someone runs out of like hand sanitizer, she goes out and buys some, because it's the little things that she can do to say thank you for making this empty part, this part that never felt like it was a whole person, feel like a complete human being just by being there.
Okay. I'm gonna go with mismatched chairs, which is a comfort from your past. And this is gonna take place both present and in the past when I describe this. So when Jesse was younger, Her father was a wood carver, and he made the chairs that sat around their dining room table. And she always remembered Sunday mornings, she would wake up and they would all have breakfast together. And it was the only time every week that they all sat together at the table. And it was Jessie and her brother and her sister, and her mother and her father. And the dad would always make bacon, and the mom would always make waffles. And Dad would always make 2 fried eggs for himself as well. And she always remembered that there were fresh flowers, and it always made her feel safe. And so now, every Sunday, whether the house is full or not, she gets up for anybody else, and she will make a fresh pot of coffee, and she will put the kettle on for people who want tea, and she will make bacon and waffles, and she will set plates out for people who want it. And when you look over at the chairs that are around our island in the kitchen, you'll see that one of them is wooden and doesn't really match any of the rest of them. And it was the remnants of the wood from one of the tables, or from one of the chairs that sat around the table when she was younger, when they all had breakfast together. And one of the last things that her father did before he passed was he took the wood and turned it into a stool for her, when he knew that she was leaving and moving in with her friends or wherever she was going, and the chair didn't fit in her car. So he turned it into a stool for her so that she could still have that with her.
I want to do a pot on the stove again. The best meal we've ever had. It's a year after we've all moved into this house together. We've all grown as a family. And this day, James tells everyone in the kitchen early one morning, let's have a feast. We're all going to make things, and we're going to celebrate us. And James makes her grandmother's mysterious English muffin recipe, which isn't in the shape of a muffin at all. It's in the shape of a loaf. And it takes 3 different kinds of flours. One flour it took her 3 stores to find. But she makes the spread, and she toasts it, and she puts it on the table. What does everyone else make?
So, Jim's not very good at cooking, but he has a couple tomato plants that are growing out back. And the thing about tomato plants is that when they successfully grow, they just keep producing tomatoes. And he often finds himself with way more tomatoes than anyone knows what to do with, and tries to give them off to other people. Which can be almost annoying at times, because you feel this expectation to do something with the tomatoes, but just keep giving tomatoes. So he's not much of a cook, but he takes the tomatoes and he slices them and makes sort of a tray of tomato slices And then he goes to the grocery store and he buys one of those in a rotisserie container turkeys, or no, a chicken. He gets a rotisserie chicken, and he brings that to the table. And then he uses the little cheese slicer and cuts lots and lots of slices of cheese and starts to make everyone with the bread that you made tomato, cheese, and chicken sandwiches, because that's his favorite sandwich.
Jesse is going to make a recipe that you can only make at certain times of the year because it depends on how humid it is. So we're going to say that this is a low humidity day. And she is going to make what's called divinity, which is a candy dessert where it just tastes like it's just sugar. It's like you take she takes egg whites and puts them into a mixer and whips them up until they have soft peaks, and she boils sugar, and she cuts up some pecans, and then after mixing it all together, she lays it out on these wax paper strips to let them harden. And then she carefully takes all of these little candies off one by one and puts them on plates. And these plates have hummingbirds on them. And that's what she's going to make. She's going to make dessert.
So Theo, like Jim, isn't a really good cook, but knows how to cook certain things really well. So it's like a particular set of skills in the cooking area, and one of those is paella. And she will buy this kind of huge bag of the rice and all the seafood, and she's going to take some of the peppers that have been growing from her, like the little garden they have out back with the tomatoes, and she's going to start chopping everything up and putting it in. And she had to go to the grocery store because you have to get fresh seafood for paella. You can't get the frozen stuff. It just doesn't taste the same. And she has to restart a couple times because she burns the rice. But eventually she gets the mixtures right. And then in this wok that they have, she has this massive bowl of way too much paella.
And when everyone's done making their meals, James sets the counter. There's placemats, there's napkins, sky blue with a silvery napkin ring around him. This is a feast. She's treating it like one. She puts candles in the middle, in the center around where the food is, and she lights them, and suddenly you can smell fresh lilacs. And she dims the lights and gestures for everyone to sit down and she says, "Welcome home."
Does anyone have... Yes.
Would it be all right if I also did a warm beverage?
Absolutely.
So it is, it's Christmas time, and the house is very warm, and we are all sitting around we're all sort of like scattered throughout the kitchen, and it's kind of late in the evening, and we're all just like starting to wind down. And I had made everybody hot toddies. And they are at varying stages of having been consumed. And Jessie is kind of on her way out of the kitchen to head to her room as we all sort of begin to say goodnight. We're cleaning up, maybe. We're making sort of an evening snack for ourselves, whatever it is. And she's just kind of like leaning there in the doorway, looking at everyone, holding her hot toddy, wanting to say something, but is kind of unable to, and instead is just taking in the moment and being absolutely grateful for what she sees before her. And I would like to invite everybody to tell me what they are doing in those moments in the kitchen before we all head to bed.
James is doing a crossword puzzle. She's done one every morning and every night for as long as she can remember doing them with her grandmother. She's very good at them. She has a bunch of those crossword puzzle books scattered around the house, and this one's her kitchen one. And she'll talk and she's listening along, but you definitely see her zoned in. She's got her feet up on a second stool or chair, and she's got her knees up, book perched on her lap, and you just hear the scritch scritch of her pen every time she figures one out and writes it in.
I think Jim is probably sitting near James, actually. And will occasionally lean over and see if he can help, see if he can answer one or make a suggestion. He's very happy to just sort of be there, talking to people. His hands are still. He doesn't have anything actively that he would be doing. I think he would just sort of be there enjoying the company of his family. And that's it.
Theo is sitting on their rug, cross-legged on the floor, and she's knitting jumpers and scarves for Jim's beanie babies because it's getting cold. And so she's taken some measurements and she's halfway through a jumper for slowly making her way through knitting all these little cozy outfits for all of Jim's beanie babies. And she's not talking because she gets very focused when she starts knitting, and it kind of takes her to a whole calmer mindset. But she kind of occasionally looks up and kind of nods and smiles along and sips from the hot toddy as she works.
So Jessie just commits this moment to memory because it's home. She believes that the heart of every home is in the kitchen, and this is where everyone is right now. So she commits it to memory before she heads off to bed.
Does anyone have anything else they wish to do in the kitchen?
Could I do a gentle reprieve the open window?
Yes.
So, as I said before, Theo has her hammock in the attic and the little circular window that, especially in the evening times, she suffers quite a lot from insomnia. But for some reason, the sound of rain is always able to keep her calm and put her in a good space. And she fades to a memory, and she's walking home from school. She's just finished hockey practice, and she's got her kind of sports gear on, and she's walking home from the bus stop, and it's raining, but it's so great because school is loud and home is loud and her head is loud, but the rain makes it better. The rain is something that makes her feel this kind of connection that she can't even really describe. It makes her so happy when it rains because it just feeds into a part of her that she doesn't really understand, but it's quiet and calm and rhythmic, and she feels like everything is okay when it rains.
If we are all happy with the kitchen, we will move on to the next room in the house, which is the patio. We'll make our way outside. And as we do that, we'll also take a little 5-minute break. Obviously, it's a bio break if anyone needs it, but it should also be an emotional break, a mental break. If you're watching with other people, check in with each other. We're going to check in with each other when we go off the air. Do whatever you need to take care of yourself. And again, thank you everyone who's donated so far. We've already hit our goal of $100. We've increased our goal to 200 for the night. We're already close to that as well. And we're all very excited to keep adding your details into the story. So we will be back in about 5 or so minutes. So take care of yourself and give your cats kisses. I will give mine lots of kisses. Bye. All right, we're back. Thank you for hanging out with us and staying with us. I hope everyone had a good break, a good little pleasant reprieve. Just as a reminder, tonight we are raising money for the Alzheimer's Association, in memory and in honor of my grandmother Marilyn. We've already skyrocketed past our $100 goal, so we've increased our goal tonight to $200. If you donate $3, you can add an emotion or a feeling or a descriptive word to a current or future scene to help shape it. If you donate $10 or more, you can add an actual physical detail that we will explore and embrace. The game that we're playing, Home, is available for download on my itch, and is pay what you want. Tonight, if you do choose to go download Home for yourself, I ask that instead of making any payment towards myself or Jesse, that you instead turn that money into a donation for the Alzheimer's Association. Thank you for sticking around with us, and we're going to move back into the game with the patio. Just once more, a reminder that tonight's game is dealing with the subject of grief and with memory and with intimacy. And as we get a little deeper into that, please step away if you need to. Take time for yourself and take care of yourself tonight. So, the patio. What does our patio look like? This is sort of that outdoor space that sort of attaches the home to the yard, that kind of in-between location. What's our patio like?
The plants have definitely spilled out to the patio as well. But also there are some Halloween-themed fairy lights that are strung up that we put up one Halloween and were like, I guess this is how we live now.
Are they like purple or like spiders? But they're just all...
There's spiders, there's pumpkins, there's bats. It's like a beautiful mishmash of like all different Halloween stuff, and they're all like they kind of give off this very like orangey kind of autumnal glow when the evening starts to come, and it just makes this little... We have other light sources, but the fairy lights just make it feel very cozy.
I think we grow a lot of things in our house and outside of our house, and one of the next rooms is actually like the garden, but I think here on the actual patio itself we have a few special flower pots, and often there are these sort of lilies blooming, some white and some purple, and they're kind of up next to the house, so they're a bit more protected from the environment and the critters and things. Sort of a special place.
I think there is definitely one of those portable fireplaces, you know what? No, I take that back. It's a brick fireplace. We've settled. And they're much like the kitchen. There's just a jumbled collection of outdoor furniture that we have brought from our homes or from wherever we were in life before this house. And James's chair is an old green Adirondack chair. It is made out of plastic. It has split down the middle, and if you sit on it just wrong sometimes, it will pinch the skin of your back and hurt like hell. But she loves it, so she holds on to it.
I think also what all of the lights are hanging from are on either side of our patio, kind of framing it, are these lattice work like arbors that have hops and vines growing on them. And the lights are sort of like strung up along the sides of them and then across. They're sort of hanging across them. And yeah, I think that's it.
So, our patio. We'll go into the details now. In the patio, we've got, a sunset, a gentle breeze, the smell of rain, an old radio, and around the fire.
Okay, well, I'll start. I would like to go with a sunset, which is about an ending. And this scene is, in fact, happening during sunset, and we have a fire going. And I come out to the patio, and I have a box with me. It's a small wooden box. It looks very simple. It doesn't have any carvings on it. It's kind of unfinished. It has a little latch on the front that I will open up. And inside there's like a weird collection of all sorts of items. And I start going through these items, and you all knew my grandmother. Her name was Ethel. And these are all that I have left of her. And I am sort of unpacking both my grief and also this box of hers. And the first thing that I take out is this Ziploc bag. And it has all of these little folded up cardboard cards in them. There are a lot of them, an overwhelming amount of them. And I take one of them out and I open it up, and inside of it is a 4-leaf clover. And these are every single 4-leaf clover she ever found in her life that she saved in this little Ziploc bag. And I continue going through this box, and you all sort of start to do this with me. And I'm wondering what item you each pull out of this box.
James pulls out these little paper dolls, kind of like the ones you can get in the books where you cut out the clothes with the tabs. But these are homemade. These were not made by the same person. And you recognize one paper doll kind of looks like Jessie. And you realize, oh, one must be her brother and one must be her sister. And they weren't made by the same kid, but they all have these different outfits that have a little touch of every sibling in them. And James holds them in her hands.
There is a little round box inside the box, and it's a sort of green and red Christmas striped plaid. And when you sort of pop the top off, it's full of these handmade small ornaments. And there are all these sort of plastic frames, little red squares and blue circles, and they're all tiny and they're all precious, and each one has had a picture sewn on the inside, a little cross stitch of a flower or of a smiling child. A few of them have some sort of beautiful little quotes on them. And carefully, Jim will take them out, avoiding the hooks that are still kind of on them from Christmases past long ago. They all got sort of thrown into the tub together and the hooks were not removed. And there's a memory that he has of Edith having these always in her home in a very small little tree that sort of was separate from the rest of it. And she would tell the story of how when she was bedridden at the sort of the end of her pregnancy, this is what she sat and did, because Christmas was coming and she couldn't get up and go anywhere. So she sat there, and every day she sewed a new little ornament.
An envelope in the box, and doesn't have a name on it. And when you pull it out, there are just these square, like just little strips of wrapping paper. And recognize the wrapping paper as being from ages and ages ago, and it's like she saved every beautiful piece of paper because she couldn't bear to throw it away. She wanted to keep a tiny piece of something apart, this part of a gift that was given and wrapped and thought specially for her and given with love, and she didn't want to throw away all of it and just wanted to save a little piece of it. So she put all those pieces into an envelope and just kept adding and adding with every Christmas and birthday that came, until this envelope is kind of bursting and it's really hard to close. But she used to say that when things were given to you specially and someone had picked it out and spent the time wrapping it, all the love that was poured into it was poured into every part of the gift. So whilst you kept the gift as well, keeping the wrapping it came in was just another little reminder of everyone who loved you and everyone who was there.
That's it. And we go through this box together as we kind of remember and process. And the sun dips below the horizon, and we add another log to the fire. And we stay there for a little while.
Minor check-in, but also Emma, I want to thank you for facilitating that scene. I think that was really good and appreciate it. I'm gonna do an old radio, which is a song stuck in your head. The radio that we have outside is Well, it's ancient. You picked it up from a garage sale years ago, and it can play cassettes of all things. It doesn't even have a CD slot, just cassettes and radio. And it doesn't pick up stations very well. Only one or two come through clearly, and one of them is a sort of Christian country station that isn't necessarily the station we all would choose every day. But sometimes when you really just need ambient background music that's not interspersed with loud commercials or loud voices of people talking in between songs, it's the channel we turn to because it has the fewest of those things. And it's early morning, and Jim's outside, perhaps one of the earliest awake this morning. He's got his sort of fishing stuff out and is getting ready to go out and spend a morning at maybe the creek nearby the house. And he turns the radio on quietly as he finishes getting ready, putting on some mud boots and things. And this one song comes on. And it's about an old cross on a hill on a country road. And it's sung with this sort of deep man's voice. It's just enough of a country twang. And the melody is odd at the beginning. He sort of listens and expects it to go one place when it doesn't. And it feels like incomplete lines of music. But as the song kind of keeps going, more voices join in. A woman's voice, and then a chorus of young voices. And the lyrics are simple. And where Jim himself is not necessarily the most religious person, they still resonate because they are about coming back to the same place and being reminded every day to share love and to seek a good home. And he doesn't take the radio with him. He kind of turns it on low as he kind of moves back out into the yard to make his way to the creek. But the song begins to hum the same sort of melodic melody that was repeated over and over again under his breath the rest of the morning.
I'm gonna. Oh no, you go, Jesse.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you go.
I'm going to choose A Gentle Breeze. There's one night, it's beautiful. You're all out by the fire, it's crackling. And I come out, and I'm carrying with me my comforter, or I guess technically it's going to be a quilt. It's a quilt. And I start on the side where there are less people. I'm going to make some room. I'm going to throw the blanket out. And I lay down. And I'm looking up at the stars. Hey, Theo.
Yeah?
You like stars, right?
Okay. Yeah, I'm a fan.
Do you know all of these stars?
I think I can name most of them.
My grandfather always said that the Little Dipper was his favorite. And I try looking for it, but I can't see it. I find the Big Dipper. It's really easy. It's pretty right there. But I can't make the stars connect in my head for the Little Dipper.
So, if you look right there, and don't try and connect it in your brain, just look right at that spot, and then go a little bit to the left. And then, like you're tracing a map, follow it down the line with your finger, like you're going on an adventure, all the way to that one. And then follow it across again, that one. And she does this all the way around, and she does it a few times, and just starts talking and just telling where little things are.
And James listens, enraptured. Her eyes keep drifting over to the Little Dipper. And then suddenly it clicks. She sees it. There it is. Like it had always been there. And it had always been there. But she was finally seeing it. And then she moves on and looks at the other stars.
I'm gonna do the radio as well, if that's okay. When there's a song that plays, and Theo likes music, she always has a Spotify list playing from her laptop and carries it around, so even when she's in the shower, she has her laptop propped up on the sink playing music. And there's one song that you hear her sing sometimes, just occasionally, and that is Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And long before she got to teenagerhood and realized the implications of what that means, she remembered being in a car with her dad, and it was a time in May, and it was mid-morning, and she remembered watching the hedges go by, and Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds came on. And parents were arguing in the car, so she focused on the song. And the song was like a different world, a world with all these weird things, and she loved Alice in Wonderland, and this felt like falling down the rabbit hole in the form of a song. And from that moment on, whenever she was sad, whenever she was feeling like she was struggling, she would sing Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And without fail, that song would make her smile. And sometimes she'd have to sing it over and over and over again. But eventually that smile would come, and that is a song that you sometimes hear her sing, but not too often. But it's always on the playlist just in case.
I would like to do around the fire, which is the heat of summer nights, and would like to invite, if you're interested, you can say no, invite Emma to play a currently unnamed male NPC that perhaps went on a successful date with Jim.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I'll
do my best.
Something a little different for the mood. I think that, we've been on a couple dates and they've gone okay. And I no longer spend hours figuring out which plaid shirt to wear, because I realize you don't care. And I've invited you kind of back, and got the fire in the stone fire pit is lit, and kind of push some of the chairs a little closer together. And it's summer, so it's hot and it's muggy, and there's sort of gnats and bugs flying around the Halloween lights. And reach a hand down to reach for another hand.
I will see you do that, and I will go ahead and reach my hand out for yours.
James in there, I think, has a stalk of marshmallows. I don't technically know where they are, but I do actually know where they are. I haven't told her I know, but
I will, I'm going to wink at you. I would do it here, except you can't see my eyes. I'm going to wink at you and say, well, should I look for some sticks, and we can roast some marshmallows?
Yeah. I got some little chocolates, not like big pieces, but they work. Don't know if we have any graham crackers, but chocolate and marshmallows the best part of the s'more anyway.
We don't need any crackers.
I'll go into the kitchen and grab a big bag of jumbo marshmallows and a handful of chocolate. Bring them out.
And I will go and try and find some... I'm going to go and try and find a couple of sticks, and I will take out a pocket knife that I have, and I'll try to whittle down the ends so that we can plop some marshmallows on them.
Don't be surprised if in like 5 minutes a roommate wanders out for a s'more. They all kind of, I don't know if you can tell, but there's eyes peering through windows right now.
I'll look up and give a little nod.
I'll start unwrapping chocolate and setting out the makings of most of a s'more.
and I go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm inviting anyone else who wants to join the scene if they'd like.
Can we join the scene from a distance?
Sure.
I'm trying really hard not to just interrupt your date. I'm gonna say that Theo has the ivy and the slacks built outside the attic, so she goes to hop out her window and climb down, and it's just slowly puts her leg back in, and it's no. And then scuttles down to James's, and is and just kind of elbows James. It's it's happening. I'm so proud of him.
It went so well.
They're holding hands.
But he took my marshmallows.
It's okay. I put more under the milk carton.
Outside, I will toast a marshmallow, and it will absolutely catch on fire because they're best when they're like completely blackened. At least that is Jim's opinion. And then I'll blow it out and take 2 pieces of chocolate and do the sandwich thing that you would do with the graham cracker, but it's literally just with chocolate bars. Part and be like, offer it to you.
I will go ahead. I will take it, and he will eat it and inevitably manage to get it like all over his face.
Oh, you got a little. Oh, that's gross. That's my grandmother would always do it with her thumb, but I can go get you a washcloth.
No, it's okay. Is it here? Is it?
Yeah, it's right, kind of.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, there. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you want another? Do you want another one?
I think at this point I will probably reach out for your hand again with your consent and try to
take it,
pull you in a little bit closer to me.
Hi.
Hi. I've had a really nice time these last few times that we've gone out. I've really enjoyed your company. I really enjoyed you.
I feel the same. I was actually, and this is kind of a big deal, I was going to offer to give you a tour of the house, which is that's kind of a big deal for us to sort of let a new person into our space.
Well, I'd be honored to see your space. Does
not just my space, just the whole space.
the whole, of course. Yeah, I'm not implying. No, I mean.
No,
what,
yeah.
I
didn't want to assume that you were implying anything.
No, and I don't want you to.
We could also see my space.
Well, I would like that. I'd like that a lot.
We should move the bag of marshmallows before they all melt in the bag.
We probably should. And as I say that, I'm going to try and lean in for a kiss.
Yeah, totally ignore the marshmallows and reciprocate. I think kind of the silhouette lit by the fire, being spied on by the roommates, is kind of how our scene comes to an end.
High five, James.
I was going in for a fist bump.
Fist bump.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Again, I'm not to rush anyone. We can move on to the next room if everyone is ready, or we can take a little more time. Also, as a reminder to chat, you can help inspire us if you provide donations. $3 will allow you to put sort of a descriptive word in a scene, be it a smell or a color or a emotion. $10, and you can add a detail that will focus sort of around.
Oh, may I do the smell of rain?
Yes.
It is the day that we are all moving in together. The house is a mess. There are so many boxes everywhere. And there are things that don't match. There are open boxes of pizza scattered inside. It's just kind of a disaster. But it's the afternoon and we're tired and everything's finally here, even though it's not anywhere where it's supposed to be. But we've got our patio set up For whatever reason, we did that first because it was so hot we didn't want to be inside. So we've all got our chairs, we have our fire pit there, and we ran out earlier and picked up some firewood and some beer, and we're out on the patio. And it's so muggy. And we all kind of are sitting there, and it's hot and we're tired, and the weight of having purchased this house together is now sitting on us. And we each have something that we're sort of dealing with in our personal life that is scary, and we're not sure how it's going to go. We're not even sure if this is going to work. But here we are. We own a house now, and we're here together. And it's kind of quiet, and you can feel the weight of this sort of settling on us. And I think our bodies are tired, and we are tired. And suddenly, I see James kind of like look up, and you like hold your hand out and you look back up, and it's starting to rain. And then out of nowhere, it is pouring. And we are outside, and it is absolutely, we start scrambling. We're crawling over each other trying to get inside. And someone locked the door by accident to get back inside, and we are stuck there. And we all kind of look at each other in a moment, and we're almost ready to be angry, and then we just collapse into fits of laughter as we realize we're stuck out here now. We may as well just enjoy this. And we kind of just play and dance in the rain and laugh and cry, but you can't really tell that we're crying because it's also raining. And then just as quick as it arrived, it leaves. And you can see sort of steam coming out of our backyard. And the clouds begin to sort of clear, and off sort of in the distance, I'm going to be cliche here, we see a rainbow. And we all kind of just are able to lean on each other for a second, knowing that we don't know how any of this will unfold, but we know that we're going to have each other as it does.
These descriptions are so much.
I'm sorry.
No, it's so good. I'm just feeling a lot right now.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Would we like to move on to the next room?
Let's move on to the next room. I'm excited to see what has been done to this room.
All right. So the next room on our map is the garden. What does our garden look like? What sort of garden setup do we have?
I think we have a mix of big box planters that are incorporated into the ground, but also little standalone pots for tomatoes, or maybe there's a big, let's say, basin that has strawberries in it. There's a lot.
Yeah, I sort of envision this as being like kind of wild, with bits and pieces here and there of like pots and bins of things that make sense, but around it, it's wild. Or is this an outdoor garden or an indoor garden? Or is it an outdoor garden with a makeshift greenhouse?
I was gonna say we have a makeshift greenhouse and stuff outside, and when we moved in, that was like sort of a greenhouse, but it was kind of broken and the wood was kind of rotted. So one of the first things we did as a group for fixing up the house was like start working on the table and start working on the greenhouse. So we had a massive road trip to a DIY store and brought all the tools we needed, and then forgot some of the stuff we needed because we bought the wrong size nails and had to go back to the DIY store. and we built and painted this greenhouse, and it's kind of on an angle and on a tilt, but it's ours and we made it.
This is very specific little detail, but I saw it on a design show once and it stuck with me. I think maybe we have a small little heater in the greenhouse so we can grow things that require a warmer temperature, and sort of keep their temperature consistent. And because of the warmth of the greenhouse, we've also installed a little cat door, and there is under tables just little bowls of cat food kind of just around on the floor, because there's some neighborhood stray cats that really like the nice warm greenhouse in the colder months and when it's rainy. And so sometimes you go into the greenhouse and there's like 3 cats just asleep in the sun.
Yes.
We probably grow a little catnip.
And there are sunflowers. There's a lot of sunflowers and a lot of pollinating plants. So there are sort of like bees and butterflies and hummingbird moths, everywhere.
I think James, she planted. There's a planter that's specifically for pollinating wildflowers.
Yes.
And in the center of that, and it's overgrown. She got the seed pack at the local farmers market, support the bees, and she latched onto it. And she likes plants. She's got a couple, but she doesn't have the best green thumb. So she got home and just dumped the seeds in this planter. And was like, what grows. And so it's completely wild. And you don't know what's a weed and what's a wildflower, but there are flowers and they are beautiful, and nestled in the center of that wildflower explosion is a bird bath that you can't see, but you can hear birds splashing in it sometimes.
We also have, this is a ceramic painted white goose statue that we have outfits for. It has a little bonnet and it can wear a cape. And so we dress it up for holidays. It has a Halloween outfit. It has an Easter outfit. It has an Arbor Day outfit. And the paint has chipped off in places, but it gets repaired. And the goose has moved around a lot. It doesn't have a name, but we love our little pet goose sculpture that we have.
Could Theo privately refer to this goose as Marquis du Quack Quack?
Absolutely. Oh. Y'all, this is out of game, but my grandma had a white goose that she put in our yard, and she would come over to the house and she would dress it. And I don't know what happened to it because I don't think we have it anymore, but I loved that goose. That was my favorite thing. Okay. Are we ready to go into the details?
Yes.
Okay.
I just had something I wanted to check with everybody about mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't sure whether to do this in chat or whether to, because I wanted to warn the Twitch chat as well, if it deals with the theme of coming out. Would everyone be comfortable with that? And chat, the one that I would do would deal with themes of coming out. So if anyone at all is uncomfortable by that, I'll give like a thumbs up when I'm finished.
I will just say, when this game was conceived and written, it was for a rainbow jam, which the theme was community. And definitely when I was writing it, there are a few prompts later on, which we probably won't get to tonight, but that are about kind of the idea of maybe being the only house on the street that is a safe place for the queer people and our sort of safe space. And those ideas did permeate a little bit. So not only am I okay with it, I kind of welcome that. That's kind of part of the essence of this game a little bit, I think.
I'm gonna do fresh, fragile blooms. And I'm going to invite James into this scene with me, if that's okay with you. So Theo has been quiet kind of recently. You notice she's a little reserved anyway, a little keeps to us. Not like in a standoffish way, she just is introverted and likes her own space, but recently she feels more withdrawn, and you can hear the music playing for longer and longer in her room. And there's one day when you guys drove to the store and you were picking up, let's see, just groceries, just normal, and you wanted to stop, and Theo asked if you can stop by the bookstore in the mall on the way back, and she's driving and she pulls over in the big mall car park, but she doesn't turn the motor off. She just keeps kind of the motor running and sort of staring out the window and kind of fixed in place, her arms on the steering wheel. And she doesn't look at you, as she kind of says, I need to say this to someone. I need to say it out loud to somebody. Would you mind if I said something out loud?
Of course.
I thought I was one way, but it turns out I might be another way, and I am gay.
I would be looking at Theo this entire time. And I'd reach out. And I wouldn't touch you unless there was some form of confirmation. But I would just rest my hand. If there isn't, I would just rest my hand near your thigh. And I thank you. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for trusting me with this.
And you kind of see the weight of the world lift off her shoulders. And she lets out this really long breath, and she turns to look at you, and she kind of, again, waits for your visual confirmation, and then if you're okay and consent to it, she takes your hand and gives it a squeeze and says, I have been so afraid to say that out loud. Because if it's out loud, then it's real, and if it's real, then it's real, and I have to process it and deal with it, but I tried really hard to bury it, and I put it under layers, and I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what was wrong, and I couldn't figure it out, and then the thought kept popping up last Christmas, and like that cuckoo bird from the Looney Tunes cartoon, like, haha, you're gay. And I couldn't push it down, and I really tried, because if I don't want to lose anybody. I really don't want to lose people. And if I say it out loud that it's real, and if it's real, then I risk losing people. And I really didn't want to lose you guys.
While she's talking, James grips her hand tighter and tighter and tighter until you don't know if your hand is numb. You can't tell if who's squeezing who. It's just this ball of fingers. And James says, "You planted it, and now it's bloomed. And it's beautiful, and loving, and bright. And we would never, never leave a flower so gorgeous." And then I would give a hug. I would hug Theo if she was okay with it.
Yeah, I'm perfectly okay with it.
James would hug Theo, and James is all cardigans and warmth all the time. And she just squeezes.
Theo kind of buries her head in the cardigan and just kind of lets the truth kind of just sit there and lets her hear the words in her head that she's been too scared to say out loud. But got a day about 10 years for her, and she realizes that it is okay. That it's okay. And that she's okay. And she hugs James a little tighter. And Theo is queer goth witch to the max. She's got the choker, the black crop top, and the boots. And for the first time in a very, very, very long time, she feels this moment of feeling safe, feeling accepted, and feeling like the piece of her that she always thought, that always felt like it was cracked or broken or missing. And she thought the way to fill that was finding the right person, and then she realizes that the right person is her, and the right person is who she really is, and accepting who she is, and that cracked little empty piece just gets filled in with this just golden paint. And that is where I will fade out that scene.
I am thinking about doing beams of sunlight, which is for a smile. And I am wondering if, Val, you would be willing to play a young woman that I have been dating for a short period of time, less than a month. It is new and young. and we are out in the garden, and it is the sort of late afternoon, and I really wanted to show you that the sunflowers are finally in bloom. That's why I wanted to take us to the garden. And I will walk out there and kind of like skip over. And Jessie wears like, she's always in sort of like jeans and like Converse and a slightly like oversized shirt and probably a flannel here and there, but mostly she's just kind of and like a baseball hat. She's always a little bit like, she's always got paint on her. She's always just kind of a mess. And she like walks over and like her hair's in this messy bun. She probably has like a paintbrush sticking out of it. And she's like, see? They're blooming. They're finally blooming. I haven't gotten them to bloom for 3 years and they're blooming.
Jessie, they're beautiful.
And she's going to go on and on about the process, probably more knowledgeable than I am about growing sunflowers. And she's going to go on and on about like how she grew them. And she's unable to like shut up about this. I'm sorry. I know you're not really interested in this. It's okay.
No, I may not know that much about sunflowers, but I love hearing you talk about sunflowers.
Well, I don't really know what to say to that. No one's ever said that to me before.
You do this. You have this sort of thing when you start to talk about the sunflowers. And it's like you radiate the sun and you just smile and you're so excited, and there's this amazing, almost wild glint in your eye as you talk about these sunflowers, and it's beautiful, and you're beautiful, and thank you for showing me and letting me see your sunflowers.
I think at this point she would probably blush pretty hard, and she would kind of very slowly like walk over to you and just like lean into you for like a hug.
I will just wrap my arms around her.
And I think like the way the scene fades out is that we're sort of like the sort of slants of light through the sunflowers are kind of on us, and you can see that I've got this. I was very happy talking about the sunflowers, but I have this very contented, safe smile on my face right now. And then it fades to black.
I'm just going to take a moment right now to thank everyone in chat for sharing stories and being such a great, safe space. We've also just hit our $200 goal, which is incredible. It's twice as much as I was expecting for this evening because you all are wonderful people, and I'm just really, really thankful right now. And that's all I wanted to say. We'll go back into the game, but thank you.
And I just want to thank you, Val, for that was a short scene, but thank you. That was exactly what I wanted.
I want to do vibrantly colored flowers and unexpected beauty. And I'm opening the scene up to everyone again. But one spring, James decides a lot of things. I've decided. That it's springtime, it's time to plant flowers and plants. But terracotta pots are so boring. Let's paint them. So she buys all of the colors of paints she could think of and just throws them in a pile on some tarps with a bunch of pots, various sizes and saucers. And she starts to paint them. And she is not a good painter. She is not the painter. She tries to mix some colors, and they are not good. They're clashing. She makes this wonderfully putrid greenish brown color that she tries to cover up or make pretty with some white stars, but that doesn't work. So she tries to put like a lavender cloud cover over it. It's awful. And she's painting these pots.
I will absolutely participate in painting these, for sure. And I think that Jessie probably would sort of flop down and just get lost in painting some probably far more intricate than it needed to be for a plant pot. But she just kind of loses herself when she starts painting. And every so often she would stop and like sort of like clean her brush off and like lean over to see what James is painting. And she would sort of look back at hers and then look over at yours and say, I really like the colors that you picked for that. I think they look really good. And I'm glad that that's going to be out here with the rest of these flowers.
I think Jim will approach the painting project that's happening and sort of sit down cross-legged across and take one of the pots and pull a bunch of the paints over, but no paintbrushes. And he'll dip his thumb in the red and start putting red thumbprints around the pot. And then he'll sort of wipe it off on his pants. And then he'll dip another finger in the black and, not waiting for it to dry because he doesn't know any better, start putting little red dots inside the little thumbprints, and the paint sort of smears, and what possibly could have been an attempt at ladybugs is very abstract in its ultimate form, but he does end up with this sort of messy fingerprinted ladybug covered pot. And I want this one to go over by where the tomatoes are. And I want to plant a special plant in it. And give the ladybugs their own plant so they stop eating the leaves of my tomatoes. So that's what this one's for.
Theo is also going to get in on the art project, but she has trouble concentrating and sitting still for periods of time and gets easily distracted. and ends up painting a pair of eyes on the plant pot and a big smiley mouth, and just pops it straight over her head and starts just wandering around in the Wellingtons, like going to the sidewalk and just waving at their neighbors because she enjoys freaking them out a little bit. And she will get back to the art project, but she'll dip in and have breaks to go be Lady Plant Pottius of Winthrop Manor. And we'll kind of dip in and out as everyone is painting.
And so we paint all these pots, and those are special pots, but there are also pots that are solid paint, solid colors, or some that are just simple polka dots and stripes, and some that are more atrocious mixes of colors, courtesy of James. And when you look at them individually, some of them are gorgeous, and some of them are, you think, oh, this pot's just going to be repainted soon. But then a couple months pass, and these pots are in the garden, and they're lush, and flowers are everywhere, and it's green, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
We are sort of beginning to near the end of our stream, and I would like to go and sort of do how the game ends, but I kind of want to do one more scene before that happens here in the garden. And that's bumblebees and ladybugs. What is spreading? I think our house, in comparison to all the other houses on the street, is, well, it has flower pots of every imaginable and some unimaginable colors. And it probably has a rainbow flag in a window, and plant life just growing almost wildly, untamably in the backyard. There's Halloween decorations still up, and there's probably still Christmas lights up in the front. It has multiple cars always out on the driveway because so many people live there, and a mailbox that was painted by Jesse and doesn't match the same black mailbox that everyone else in the street has. And while it's always been a safe place just for us, there's always been a bit of a, we are safe in this place, but we're also alone a little bit and isolated from the rest of our street. And then one day, Jim sees like 4 clearly painted by hand little garden gnomes sitting around a big rock, almost like a table, in a neighbor's yard. And Jesse, you see one day while you're outside, another neighbor has started to add wind chimes to their porch. And James, the kids down the street have suddenly been allowed to sidewalk chalk all over the driveway. Previously, they've, kept it to a small space, but now it's everywhere. And when it rains, they come back out and they draw again. And Theo, you see another flag in a window. Perhaps not as prominently displayed, but it's there. And it's slow change. And some of the houses change more than others. But year after year, as we live here and we express ourselves and make a home for ourselves, we begin to see sort of that same color and life and open happiness being expressed begin to find its way into the homes around us. And we feel like we're not so isolated, that we don't just have a home, we have a little community now. At the end of home, if you play through the whole map, you make it to the living room. And when I wrote the game, I made the living room last because it is the place where everyone finds themselves together again and again. It's a warm place, a comfortable place, sometimes quiet, sometimes loud, but it is a sort of safe place where people cuddle on couches, tell stories, do puzzles, sit and watch Jeopardy and shout the answers and get them wrong and then yell at each other. It is a communal space that we all share. And after, when you play the game, you go through the details of the living room. We end together in the home that we've created. And we are now asked to share our feelings and comfort one another. And that's how we'll end our stream. And chat, you're also welcome to share feelings. And just, we'll kind of end a little quietly. When the conversation kind of dies down, we'll probably just end tonight. So, how's everyone feeling?
I am feeling so many things right now. It is only Tuesday and I've had a very rough week, and I'm not sure that I can verbally express how like cathartic and safe this was. And I think that this game is stunning, first of all, because I believe that the sort of echoes of human life, the memories of humans and what we, experience in our journeys are both beautiful and heart-wrenching. So the opportunity to sort of walk through both fictional moments of the human experience, but also ones that we pull from not just our lives, but from our friends' lives, was really, really beautiful. It was, I feel very like, I think it's just mostly like a lot of gratitude, I think is like a lot of this right now. It was really lovely. So thank you all for being you, and thank you for making this game.
Yeah, I feel like this game was much needed for everyone. It has also been not a great start to the week for me. But sharing these memories and reading chat stories and just being surrounded in all of this love and care and gratitude and acceptance. You don't find places like this very often, and I'm so grateful that I am part of this community and just part of this group of friends, and that we've found our home.
I am also feeling a lot of emotions right now. I'm trying to figure out the verbalizations of it. And there are two things that stick out. One, this game is also very good in a sense that you build it with your friends, and sometimes you don't have the best relationships with your bio family. And you find family and you redefine what that means for you. And it is important to know to everybody that even if you don't have the best relationships with your bio family, it doesn't make you unworthy of anything. And you will find a family that fills the gaps that you have within yourself and fills you with this love that you didn't even realize you were A, capable of, or B, capable of feeling. And it's very important for everyone to know that bio family doesn't necessarily mean family. Family is who you choose. Family is who you make. It's the people in your life that are there. And it's the people in your life that you would do anything they ask because you trust that they would never ask too much or more than you could ever give. And the second thing was the same kind of theme, that sometimes home is not a place, it's people. And sometimes the people make the home. And you'll feel like you're lost and wandering, and it'll feel dark and scary. And then you'll find some place where you feel, okay, I'm safe here. I am loved here. And this is my home. And it doesn't have to be a place. It can be a person or a group of people or just somewhere where you can exist and just be you and just be loved for it. And that is two really great things that this game made me think about a lot. And I'm extremely, extremely proud of Anders and Jesse for making a beautiful experience and working their butts off to bring it to life. You guys have made something really, really special, and you should feel all the pride in the world because it is beautiful. So, and thank you for inviting me to be a part of it, because I also have not had the best week, and this was something that sorely was needed. So thank you.
I am feeling so many things. One, just this sense of almost like pride, or that, you know, when I conceived this and I wrote it, it was, you know, you have all these intentions behind it, but I am amazed that it feels like it achieved what I really wanted it to. And I'm grateful to the three of you for playing with such, sorry, someone's doing something upstairs, such vulnerability and openness and just willingness to really go into sort of the heart and soul of what this game is kind of about. I was asked last week if I wanted to give a eulogy or do a reading, and I said no. I knew I was not going to be able to stand up yesterday and talk about my grandmother. That was not within my capacity. And when the idea came to do this, I was a little impulsive, and I wasn't sure if it was the right thing to do or if it would really be, if it would be something really done in honor of. I had all these sort of fears that people would see this stream and think I was, you know, using what sadness was happening in my life to draw attention to the product I had made. And I had all this anxiety about it. But then we started this, and people came into chat and just shared stories. And we were doing scenes, and I found myself telling you the smallest little details that I remember about my grandfather and my grandmother. And this was like a 3-hour eulogy, but also a chance to sit with family and friends and share, everyone to share. And I'm just very overwhelmed right now and very grateful. And thank you for the raid. You came into our goodbyes. We're kind of dealing with the emotions of what just happened. You know, as this game kind of comes to a close, I just want to say thank you. Like, there's more words, but I don't have the capacity to verbalize anything other than just that big thought of thank you to everyone. To just, I'm going to stop talking now for a second and pull myself a little more together. Okay. I love every single one of you in this chat, in this video stream. Thank you for staying with us and feeling these things with us while we played. Thank you for giving your time and your money and your memories to tonight. We achieved more than I thought was possible, and that's thanks to you. I'm going to suggest that we end the stream now, but as I do that, I just want to remind everyone to go take care of themselves now. Go watch a funny YouTube video, go drink some water, go hug an animal or a family member or a really soft pillow. Do a little self-care, and thank you. Have a good night. Should we do outros? We can do quick outros. Yeah, we should do quick outros. Jesse?
Cool, put me on the spot. I'm Jessie. You can find me at Jahoos the Moose on the internets. I drew this game, and I loved every second that I did it. And I knew it was going to be amazing when Anders gave me this prompt. Yeah. I don't really know what to say. Lots of emotions.
Does anyone else want to do an outro? Val?
Hi, I'm Val. I love you guys and people in chat. And my outro is just going to be that a lot of the community and the feelings there are an expression of how VR has made me feel. And so I would like to say thank you to the VR community for being my family. And I'm going to emotionally, awkwardly finger gun out of this outro. Bye!
Emma?
Boy howdy y'all, this hit some stuff tonight. Hello, I am Emma. You can find me at MK Hansen on the internet, and in about 20 minutes you can find me over on Dice Priori in Dragon Heisters. I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna do that, but it's gotta happen, so it'll be fine. I live here on Variant Roles. I am incredibly grateful for this evening and for you all, and for the care and compassion and kindness that everyone brought to this experience and this journey. And I truly think that you two should be so proud of yourselves for what you have made here. It's beautiful. So thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for everyone in chat for sharing all of those beautiful stories and all of those beautiful sort of little details that we had the opportunity to include in our home. And I'm just so grateful for you all.
I'm Anders. I wrote this game. You can find me at Anders_D_K on the internet. It feels really weird to do an outro right now. I think I've already said it, but I'm gonna save it again. Save it. Thank you. We raised $200 tonight. More than that, we just sort of showed how much love and trust and community there is here in VR, and I'm just so grateful to have been allowed to be a part of it. And I don't quite know the details on how the Tiltify works. If there's an opportunity to continue donating after the stream is over, I would assume for at least a little while there will be. So if you would like to donate anything to the Alzheimer's Association, that would be wonderful. And if you want to play this game, you should go get it. It's free. I want people to have a chance to explore it and play it themselves. And I think that's it. So thank you, everyone. Take care of yourselves, comfort each other, love each other, and have a good night.